Right, this wheel is a BSA Triumph type conical hub rear, which I've built with an alloy rim and polished stainless spokes to go on the rear of a Triton that we're building, which has got a shortened featherbed frame and a unit 650 Triumph engine with a 750 top end fitted. So quite a special bike. I'll probably take a separate look at that when there's a bit more of it to see. But for now, this is the wheel built. I've already fitted it in the frame and lined up, got my drive line where I wanted it and all the spacings and everything, and so I've also got any offset that I required sorted out, although it's all come together really well and I haven't had to tighten up the spokes lopsided or anything. It's centered up pretty well and used up equal amounts of the threads on the spokes on both sides as it happens. And here we are. I'm just going to give it a spin now and we'll see that side to side deflections are within half a millimetre at most. That's including the extremities, or the blip if you like, so I'm quite happy with that on the side to side. I'll put the camera down now and then we'll have a look at the radial run out, see what we've got there. Don't know whether the camera's picking that up. We've actually got a bumblebee in here. Right, radial. Again, one rotation of this clock face is a millimetre. So we're in or around half a millimetre maximum again radially, so I'm very happy with that. Give it a spin there and you can see that it's nice and true and spinning freely. It's also got new wheel bearings in it. The hub was bare, so that's all good to go. And we'll have a bit of music. 20 spokes aside. Let's see, here we go. $20 there. A different note on the other side because the spokes are longer, but there you are. There's no overly tight or overly slack ones there. They're both playing pretty much the same note on each side, although one side is a different note to the other, but 20 spokes playing pretty much the same note on one side and the other 20 on the other side also playing similar notes. So that wheel is ready for a tyre, well, a rim tape, a tyre and a tube, and then that can go on when we're ready for it. So next up will be the front wheel. Just completed the build of this wheel, which is to the specs for a Norton Commando disc brake front wheel. I built it with polished stainless spokes and an aluminium rim, and it's going to be going on a Triton project that we're building here. I built the rear wheel for it using a BSA Triumph conical hub yesterday actually. I've got this one together now and it's been a bit of a stinker in that there's 4 different lots of spokes for it and 2 different thicknesses. The thicker ones go on a disc side and there's also different lengths and different bends, so it's taken a little bit of figuring out, but I've got it all put together now and I've got it running quite true. I might have to come back to it depending on when I fit it in the forks and we get our various spacers in place and the disc on and the caliper and so on. I may have to tweak the spokes and possibly move the rim one way or another a little, I don't know, but I'm assuming that I've got it right, so I've trued it just in case it all goes together nicely and can be fitted and forgotten about. So anyway, first of all, let's have a look at the side to side run out that I've got there. And well, perhaps a whisker over half a millimetre at the extremities of the blips, but that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'll just put the camera down. We'll take a look at the radial. Let's see what we've got that way. Yeah, and we're about half a millimetre radially as well, so that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. It's pretty good when you spin it quickly. And let's have some music, shall we? 20 aside, here we go. 20 there. Ran away on me a little bit there. Trouble is you get the wheel spinning as you clunk the spokes. I'll do them again, the lower ones. Well, I'll do them all again. Here we go, the top ones. 20. And underneath, let's try and get these a little bit better. There we are. I'm happy with that. They're all pretty close together musically, I think, to my tone deaf ear anyway. So there we have the front wheel for our Triton, ready to go on and hopefully fit, but if I need to I can tweak the rim over one way or the other a little bit if I need to clear, well, not so much the disc, but to give the caliper clearance and get the centre of the wheel between the centre of the forks and on the centre line of the frame, so on. But it probably will be okay like that, and it's certainly ready for trial fittings. Here I am with the Triton project I'm currently working on, and I've already discussed the wheel building, and you can see there that the engine is in a shortened wide line featherbed frame to suit the unit engine, but more on that another time. I'm going to concentrate on the front end and the front wheel at the moment, and I built the front wheel, but I wasn't certain that I would have had the offset quite right, and that turns out to be the case. And if you look here, I've now got the brake caliper assembly fastened to the fork leg, and I've got the disc on the wheel, and if we look, the disc is pretty good. It's a floating disc as well, by the way. It's pretty well centralised in the caliper there, so I'm happy with where the disc is relative to the caliper and vice versa. I don't know how much of this the camera will pick up. Maybe if we have a look in there, just see, there we are. Disc is in the centre of that pretty much. So I know I got the caliper where I want it, I know I got the disc where I want it, and I've got some washers and bits and bobs in to make up temporary spaces for the wheel right now. So I've got the hub where I want it, in between the forks, but unfortunately the wheel rim is noticeably closer to this fork leg than it is to this one, so I want to move the wheel rim only over towards the left there, while the hub stays where it is. So I'm going to have to adjust the spokes, which is no biggie. I'll just slacken them off half a turn on one side and tighten them up half a turn on the other, and a couple of goes of that will probably do the job. So hopefully, again, I don't know if the camera will really pick it up, but the rim is just offset to what is our right at the moment by a small amount, so I'm going to try and clear that up, and then we'll be ready for the permanent spacers and tyre and tube and so on, and that'll be the front end largely sorted. Right, I'm back with this Triton that we're putting together at Performance Classics, and I've already discussed the front wheel, well, and the rear wheel as well, but in my last clip I mentioned that I needed to move the rim over to the left or to the right of the bike by a small amount to centralise it between the forks, because I've got the disc, the brake disc and the brake caliper positioned where they need to be. I've got the disc passing through the centre of the slot in the caliper body, so I know that that is where it needs to be. Hopefully we might see it in there. Sorry for it being a bit dark. Anyway, the disc and the caliper are where they need to be relative to each other. That disc runs pretty close to the fork leg, but that's how that's meant to be. And everything else, the hub obviously, the disc is bolted tightly to the hub. The hub is where it should be relative to the forks between them, as is the disc. So I had the rim was slightly over to this fork leg on the right, the left hand fork leg of the bike. The rim was over this way by a small amount, and I needed to move it more towards this fork leg to centralise it. So I've done that, I've adjusted the spokes, and it's very difficult to get, say, a vernier gauge or anything in there and really get decent measurements. So what I've got is I've got this socket here, which is just a little bit of a tight fit between the rim and the fork leg. It passes through, just sort of grabbing there as it goes through, and just sort of grabbing there as it goes through. So I've got that rim pretty well centred between the forks. So that's all ready for the next step now, which will be, at the moment I've got temporary spacers in there made up of various bits and pieces and washers and so on. We'll have the proper spacers for this wheel arriving shortly, but while I'm waiting for them to be posted to us, I wanted to get on and get this rim where I wanted it relative to the forks and the fit of it in between them. So that's all done, and I know that now I'll be able to get a rim tape on this, inner tube and a tyre, and we can carry on when we want to connect this lot up, connect it to the master cylinder, and we should have a working brake once I get some pads in there. But I'm very, very happy with the alignment of that disc and the caliper and the hub and the rim. It's all exactly where I want it, so that's another little bit of progress.